give it a title and everything later on.
Phenomenal. Good.
So this is gonna be nice. Um, Let me go on here, go on my Facebook page, and take a look, make sure we're up, get ready to rock.
Mm.
Okay, everybody is up. You look so lovely, I must agree. Everybody looks great.
Everybody's doing great.
Yeah, everybody looks good over there as far as I can see. So we keep it rolling. It's me
Mm-hmm.
and you, waiting for Stacie to come back up.
Mm-hmm. There she is.
There she is, there she is. We can see her. This is crystal clear. You know, this looks great. I'm so happy to have you here, Coco, Stacie, Melikia down there. I appreciate it. This is the 42nd episode of Sunday Brunch at WNBA State of Mind, and this is the grief edition. I really appreciate you guys coming on at such late notice. I'm glad what I said to you over there on Clubhouse spoke to your heart, and to all of the people that are out there, I want to say, hey everyone, welcome to the 42nd, excuse me, getting up there in numbers of Sunday Brunch at WNBA State of Mind. And today we will pay homage to Sir Jose Burgos, one of my players who tragically lost his life through depression. And it rocked our community, the people, the children, and families. And we need to mourn to find solace. Jojo, let me tell you a little something about him. He was a warrior. He had a strong spirit. He was a loving son, a brother, an uncle, a cousin, a friend, and a teammate to many. He was good in school and had so much of his life ahead of him. Therefore, his decision caused a lot of devastation. But as I look back, I say God will be the glory. And JoJo's life was purpose. He touched so many in a short period of life, including mine as his coach. The line to pay respect for him was knee deep, and it was a wrapped around the block. Hallelujah. There were so many people in the community that love him. And so, everyone, I want to say welcome to a WNBA State of Mind where we mainly discuss basketball, but we love other sports. Today we have an all-star cast of ballers, which makes for a great show. Thanks for joining us today on Sunday Brunch. We're going to give the people in the audience the opportunity to ask questions throughout the show. You know, on Facebook as I trail it, and also Clubhouse if you're out there. It's my first show. I appreciate it. I have Coco, okay? Coco Veira on the show. Thank you so much, love. I want you to introduce yourself, but first of all, please tell us your basketball story because I do want to keep the show light and full of love and hope during our times of bereavement. So while you introduce yourself, please tell them the story you told me. It's so funny. I thought it was hysterical.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you, Goody. I appreciate you so much. I'm here on Clubhouse, and I don't see you in the room yet. So if you want to log in there, that'd be awesome. I think I pinned you in. We haven't gotten anybody in the room, but my name is Coco LaRain Veira. I'm so happy to be here. This conversation is needs to be had. And yes, I did play ball in high school. I played a very important role, a role that most people do not consider to be important. Okay, I played a role that most people don't want to play. Okay, I played a role that meant something to myself. I played bench. And part of my role on the bench was to look really good in my shorts and to not hog the bench and to not hog the water because the players who were on the court needed the water, right? And so I didn't drink all of that stuff. You know what I'm talking about? I sat down on the bench and I didn't hog the bench either. I moved over when it was time to move over. You know what I'm saying? And I let the players have the beginning of the bench so I could have the other side of the bench. You know what I'm saying? And I showed up on every single practice. I showed up on time. You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, I have some knee injuries from bending so far down on the bench for the whole entire game as I sat there and then jumped back up to cheer and back down. So I think that most players that are on the bench don't get enough credit. And I'm saying most players on the bench in sports do more than I did. But I sacrificed, the idea of having the glory. I didn't want to hog, so when I did do my one 3-point shot, which was the only, shot I ever made in, I retired on top. And I'm proud of that. So thank you. That's my story and I'm sticking to it.
That is so funny, Coco. I mean, I really do have respect for my teammates that were on the bench. They gave me so much energy. They gave me so much love, and helped me see the light at the tunnel when I couldn't. And just being my number one fan. I remember one teammate that I had. Her name was Etta Mae Tubby. God bless her, and she was just the biggest fan and on the bench, and she got the crowd going. And if it wasn't for her, I don't think that we would have gotten so riled up down there in Richmond. But to take it off of me, Stacie, talk to us about you. You know, give people the glimpse of who you are and what it is that you do.
It's the not hogging the water for me. Can I just say that, Coco? It's the not hogging the water. Oh my goodness. Well, I tell you, I'm here today thanks to the app Clubhouse, right? Where we can connect with brilliant people, a house of creativity. I heard your heart, dear Adrienne, and I was like, okay, it's Easter Sunday, it's Resurrection Sunday, it's a lot going on, but you needed the support here for your show today and those who are tuning in and our young people. And I said, okay, Lord, we're going to figure it out. We're going to make a way to show up because that's what you do as women. And, Black Girl Magic is real. When sister calls, you answer. So that's why I'm here today. My name is Dr. Stacie N.C. Grant. I'm the founder of Destiny Designers University. It's the only training and development platform for faithpreneurs. And what are faithpreneurs? I'm wearing the shirt. It was like, what's that on the shirt? It's faith-based entrepreneurs and faith-based professionals looking to add another stream of income to their personal economy. So how they run their business, operate their business, create is with a fidelity to God. So we're unapologetic about that in the marketplace. And I know I'm a disruptor because a lot of people don't like to mix finance and faith in the same sentence. But I rebuke any retarded demon that would tell you got to be poor because you believe in Jesus. And on Resurrection Sunday, I pray that you resurrect something new in your life, something that you desire to do to be a blessing in the marketplace. You have skills, you have gifts, you have talents. You're on a show where you're talking about basketball and how people are using that gift and talent to open up other doors and other opportunities, that there's hope when there's life. And I'm just blessed to be in your presence, to support what you're doing. When I heard it, I'm like, my heart was full because we need more love in the world. A lot of people talk about faith in Christ, but they don't live it. So living it is how do we extend ourselves? How do we share love? How do we give hope in a very dark and crazy time that we're living in? 2020, none of us have seen it in our lived lifetime. And some people think 2021 is 2020 with a wig on. But whichever way you take it, just know that there is still hope in tomorrow because Jesus lives. That's what those of faith are celebrating today, one of the highest holy days across the globe. And I understand not everybody believes as I believe, but I'm not one of those people to throw God down your throat. My prayer is I live a life of light that will invite you in to get an idea of what that relationship is for yourself. So I'm just here to contribute love, support, celebration for a community that is hurting, knowing that we can't ignore the pain, but where there are ways that we deal with it so that we can be able to put one foot in front of the other and make it through another day and honor those like this young man who's no longer here by how we live. So thank you for having me, Adrienne.
Wow. Glory be to God. Just glory be to God, and I'm happy that you're here because if I know that the way you just uplifted my soul, you probably did that to a lot of people that are out there right now. And so I got my girl Melikia over there. She don't want to show her face, but she operates well behind the scenes. What's up, Lee?
There we go. I had to come off that mute. All is well, my love. How's it with you?
Everything is good, Introduce yourself a little bit and, you're fantastic. You always check in with me every single morning and, make sure that I'm good. And, if I don't come over, to the House of Creativity in the morning, you ping me, make sure everything is all right, check on me. So I appreciate that, sis. All of the love that you've shown the last month in my life. I don't even know if I've been over there that long, but I really do appreciate all of the support that you bring to me and to others.
Oh man, I appreciate you saying that and really just toss it back to you. Your vibration was like sisterhood out the gate, so I can't help but keep up with my good people. Your light, your energy, your love is to be followed, is to be curated, taken care of, protected, and served. So I'm here to handle all of that on your end, my girl. To introduce myself a little bit, I am Melikia K. Courtney, Coach MK to some, Gigi Grandma to my babies, operate in several spaces, definitely with the lending. If you need that money and you're looking to start up your business, to scale it, or take care of something personal, let me help you. Get in touch with Adrienne. She'll put you in touch with me. As far as coaching, there's some crisis care that I do for those folks who haven't figured out how to be happy, even though they've achieved so much. Again, tap in with Adrienne. I can help you. And yes, I serve severely behind the scenes. I love it. I have helped a lot of people to the tune of 174 countries by now with certain messages. So yeah, I just enjoy living. I love what I do. And that's about it. Back to you.
That's just an awesome testimony, sis, and I appreciate you. You know, this morning I also woke to some bad news for one of my teammates that I played with in the WNBA. Yesterday, she lost her son, and he can't be more than 14, 16 years old. So it's just absolutely crazy right now, the rate that we're losing each other. And so I just saw it fit to talk about it. I didn't see anyone or any outlet in my city in Bayonne that said, hey, let's talk about it. There were a lot of kids that were out there mourning, couldn't understand. They didn't have an outlet, you know. So that's why I'm here. And just to define grief, it's deep sorrow caused by someone's death. And so just trying to recuperate from a death that I had in the family. My mother lost her baby sister. And then, other people passing, but when it gets to someone who's a teenager, it's totally different. It resonates different. There's a lot of misconception and misunderstanding about that. And so I pride myself in reading the Bible in the mornings when I get up, and so I had to try to search to find some understanding because there's no one else to talk to but him in regards to this. And so going to the expert, I said, what does God say about grief? And so I was led to Hebrews 11:13, which says, all these people died in faith without having received the things that they were promised. However, they saw them and welcomed them from afar. And this was a passage that I always used to help bring some comfort to myself whenever I was feeling down about people who passed, because by faith they see from afar. And so every single thing that I do and every single prayer that I have, they see and they hear. And so that gives me faith. And so I wanted to share that. And also, what does God say about death? And I was led to John 16:22 because I was having a conversation with Dr. Wellness, and we were having a discussion, and he threw this passage at me, which is John 16:22, which says, "So with you now is your time of grief, but I will see you again, and you will rejoice, and no one will take away your joy." And so that was another passage of comfort, and also a passage of faith that I was led to, that says, the afterlife is real, and God cuts through all of that. And so we're here Resurrection Day, and I know that there are stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. But in our situation here in our town, we didn't get the bargaining part because it was just so abrupt. That was wiped out. And so it's so much more difficult when it's a child. Coco, you can speak about this, and I'm gonna pass the mic to you, because you lost a son and was very young. Is the process different? Talk to us about your situation.
Yeah. So, I do want to thank you again, Adrian, for this platform. I'm a speaker, a trainer, and a coach by trade. I've been talking about trauma for over 30 years. And I've been talking about, you name it, I spoke about it. And I've been on thousands of stages, dealing with, family trauma, historical trauma, generational trauma, intimate trauma. And this trauma hit me like a ton of bricks when my son, at the age of 26 in 2019, when he passed away right in my arms due to an asthma attack. And I'd never felt pain like that. So to be able to feel like, I've heard a mother say, and forgive me, I don't remember her name, it's like in that moment you feel like you're buried alive because you want to be with the child that has transitioned, but you're still alive and you have to keep moving. And I had to really change my entire understanding of what death was in order to cope with the pain. I had to literally retrain my thinking, retrain my heart to think differently about life after death, which I call it life after life now. And yes, I went through all of those stages of grief, but it was exasperated because as a mom, you have this guilt that you can feel. I'm supposed to keep my child alive. I'm supposed to save them. I'm responsible for them, no matter how old they are. And there's all these sayings. Children are not supposed to die before you do. Parents are not supposed to bury their kid. And all of that is, these toxic thoughts began to flood my mind, and I knew I had to arrest those thoughts and learn how to grieve in a place of peace right in the middle of the pain, which meant I could be incredibly sad about missing him, but I had to let go of all the what ifs, because the bargaining that you talked about in grief can be very dangerous. The depression can become toxic and can keep you too low. And so I had to really spend some time with a coach and counselors to help me to reprogram my thinking about the purpose of life. And those scriptures that you read are vitally important because it gives us a perspective on the beauty of transition, the sacredness of it. Where when my son first transitioned in my arms, and I saw his eyes turn, black, and I felt the jerk when his spirit left his body, and it was bringing me a lot of anxiety. I would start to go right into an anxiety attack for first few months after every time I remembered that, until I got that shift in perspective. It wasn't a tragedy, it was sacred. His transition was sacred. And I was honored to be there regardless of cause of death. A mother, a few months after I met her at a church, and she said, I was talking about my son, and they talked about it at church, and everyone was praying for me. She came up to me, she said, you're so strong. I thought I was going to lose my son too. He was shot 7 times, but he didn't die. And in that moment, another aha moment happened where I realized, wait a second here. If this young man got shot 7 times and didn't die, so 7 bullets went into his body and none of them hit an organ that would have caused his life to be taken, it clearly wasn't that boy's time. And yet my son, who transitioned from asthma, which is supposedly manageable, if not curable, he died. Then maybe cause of death isn't the real focus here, but rather it was just my son's time, regardless of cause of death. It was his time. He was not supposed to be here in the physical form, but he is here in the spiritual form. And when I started to lean into that truth, lean into this idea that this truth that everyone has a season, and I was blessed to have his love while his season on the earth was here, and I can tap into who he is on a spiritual realm and cry and miss him and be devastated, but not destroyed. There's a difference between devastation and being destroyed. And so I've learned to mourn in beautiful places and grieve with grace. And I'm sure we'll continue this conversation, but that's what I would say. It was really shifting your thoughts and your ideas, and moving the idea of transition from tragedy to sacred. My son is now my ancestor. Oh, how powerful is that?
Wow.
His energy never dies.
Absolutely. And I've heard that so much this week, and I'm a believer in that your energy doesn't die. And we all have had someone who's passed, and we can still feel their energy, we can still feel their presence. We can be talking and a light will flicker, or we've all had these different experiences. I mean, Dr. Stacie, you're here and you always shed since you've come on, just shed a powerful word over all of these things that we're speaking.
My heart is just full hearing you, Coco, just share that truth, because so many people don't have words to put around the fact that your son is now your ancestor, that it was just an understanding that there's a time, a reason, and season. And scripture also tells us, blessed is those who mourn, for they shall be comforted, right? In Matthew 5 in the Beatitudes. So the comfort for those of us of faith, we know comes from God, because you really can't put words around losing someone that you love. Like, that's just, I've had way too many, as I'm sure everybody can relate, those moments when it's somebody that your world shakes. The first time for me that was significant was my uncle, who I was very, very close to. He was like my best friend, and it was crazy. I would counsel him like I was the aunt, and he was the nephew. It was crazy. But we would do things, and my mother found out today. She was like, what? But it was her baby brother. And when that happened, it's almost like the grief gets stuck in your throat, and you don't know what to say or how to say it. But just hearing you, Coco, and my love goes to you, and I'm not saying condolence, because you have resolved. It's not condolence, it's celebration, because your son is still with you. And I just want to honor the way you shared that. It's so powerful, because a lot of people never get the coaching, never go to counseling to get the additional help, because we get caught up in thinking that we can't ask for help. And I just want to share this with everyone. You don't ask for help because you're weak. You ask for help because you want to remain strong. And even those in faith, understanding what God's word says, you need some help. And thank God that you reached out for that help, so that you could be in a space where you could deal with your emotions. You could go through the stages of grief and come out on the other side with a testimony that could inspire somebody else to hold dear that our spirit never dies, that the spirit of our ancestors is still with us, around us, in those moments when we feel something and we chuckle to ourselves, or we remember something and we just smile. It's not accidental. That's them letting you know, I'm okay. It's us here that's still living that we really got to pray for because they're in a better place than we are. But acknowledging that grief is difficult. And if someone tells you that it's not, they're lying. But what they can tell you, here's the things that I've done to deal with grief. So one of the main things that I learned how to do that I want to share today is honoring my ancestors by how I live. So the foundation of Destiny Designers University, this training and development platform, is a tribute to my grandmother. She left this planet December 15, 2015. And there's not a day that goes by that I don't miss her. She was 98 years young. So I know I'm fortunate. I know I'm blessed to have her for 98 years. But no matter how young or how old, we don't want to lose the people that we love. And it was difficult, but it was in her transitioning that I had the resolve to start making some fulfillment dates, to resurrect things. We're talking about Resurrection Sunday today, to resurrect a project that I hadn't completed because I kept putting it off. I had pre-sales for a book. Adrian, girl, I done sold and people paid, and then I didn't produce the book. But my husband looked at me in the middle of going through the transition and preparing for my grandmother's homegoing. I guess you go finish that book now. And guess what? My fulfillment date, and somebody needs to hear this. We don't set enough fulfillment dates in our lives because we just wait on things to happen. Life is a gift. There's nothing that's promised tomorrow. We have to unwrap it clearly and carefully every day. So I made a decision to make a fulfillment date in her honor to launch that book on the eve of her birthday, August 16, 2016. And that gave me the strength to move forward, to capture the lessons, because the signature book is Action, Action, Despite the Distractions, 7 life lessons on how to thrive and live your destiny now. And it's become a battle cry for my faithpreneurs because life is going to happen. Distractions are going to happen, but how do you deal with it? So she became the foundation on what this whole platform is built on, a legacy of faith. She didn't have, as she would always say, riches and riches to leave us, but what she wanted to leave us was the relationship with Christ for ourselves. Not just going to church because we were dragged to church. I don't know how people can relate that you got, you had to go to Sunday school or you grew up in church, you got PhD in church, but you really weren't going because you wanted to be there. You were going because you were forced to be there. But getting to the place where you build that relationship with Christ yourself, it's a difference. And God's not sitting in the corner with a big broom trying to knock you over the head and fire, damnation, and brimstone. No, there's correction that you receive in the word as you grow and you learn of him. But he's a loving Christ. He's a Christ that wants to know more about your relationship with him because he's the same. He hasn't changed. So when I did that, Adrian and Coco, I was able to build a foundation of faith. That book launch, I could feel my grandmother all through the room. We don't have time today to go into the whole story of how I lost the book. 2 weeks before, there was nothing on the computer, hadn't been published. People were coming, paid for the book. We booked the venue doing a big launch, and there was 0 book. I couldn't even breathe. The night it happened, I was like Denzel in Glory. The tear was just hanging, but it couldn't fall because it was so heavy. I was like, wait, what? People were trying to tell me, girl, you might want to postpone this because people are showing up. They paid for the book. But I tell you, the legacy of faith that I stand on, I didn't stop. I kept taking action. I kept pushing. The miracle is in the rest of the story. But what I want to share today is that when you set a fulfillment date on how you honor those who transition, it gives you strength. It gives you hope. It reminds you of that young, precious life, whether 98 years young, 17 years young, 1 year. When I lost my baby in between my 2 sons, there are no words that you can share with somebody. Everyone wants to say the right thing, but there's nothing that you can say. The person has to go through how they reconcile those feelings. But then when they do like Coco did and go into therapy and have people around that can support you and say, how do we celebrate this life? How do we remember this ancestor, this spirit that is still around me? That gives me strength. That's how I cope with grief. Losing so many people in such a short period of time and the trauma that we've witnessed over and over again from 2020 to 2021. I know it's a lot, but acknowledge what you see, but trust what you know. And what you know is their life meant something. No matter 2 days or 100 years, that life meant something. And if you celebrate what that life meant, it gives you peace as you move forward without their physical presence. It gives you peace in knowing for the time that you had, you are so grateful for that time. You're so grateful to say their names. You're so grateful to honor their spirit. You're so grateful that you can still use this gift called life in a very special way each day that honors them. So yes, go through the stages of grief without judgment. There's no timeline that, oh, you should be over it by now. You should. No, not for the person who's in it. And in the midst of those stages, what they need is love. What they need is peace. And I'll close this part of my comment with this. I remember when I lost my baby. I call her a girl. We didn't know the sex for sure. But I remember one of my girlfriends, she came over and rang the bell. I don't even know when she rang the bell. My husband let her in. She never said a word. As soon as I saw her, I just started weeping and weeping. And all she did was just hold me and let me cry. There was no trying to find the right word. There was no trying to come up with a scripture that I needed to hear at that moment. In that moment, she let me weep, to just get it out, to just cry. And sometimes we can be that for somebody else, to let the tears flow, to let the cleansing happen, to let the stages of grief move through its organic process, and then be there on the other end to celebrate like we can celebrate Coco's testimony today, to say, wow, what a beautiful story of love. What a wonderful way to pay tribute to the ancestor that you gave birth to. How wonderful and amazing that is. That's the joy. That's the peace that passes all understanding. And that's how we can reconcile these hard moments when the tears don't stop flowing, to know that you keep their legacy alive by how you live and what you choose to do in their honor. So I hope that blesses someone, and thank you for the opportunity to share this, Adrian.
Girl. Just fire. I appreciate it. And the analogy that God is over there with a broom. How many people just think that he's just, and I'm going to say I'm guilty myself, just scared, but it's about reading and, and delving into the Bible and understanding God and developing a relationship for yourself. And you're listening to a WNBA State of Mind. It's the 42nd edition. I got my girls from over at the clubhouse on here with me. Coco Veira, Stacie Grant, Melikia down there, Phantom in the house. I want to say what's up to my girl Patty. She says amen from over in the clubhouse. Margaret Grierson, Toussaint Williams, who had a lot of things happen to him, passed, a lot of death. And so I'm glad to see him on here. Margaret Grierson, Kim Barnes saying happy Easter. Dr. Glenn Miller saying love it, beautiful, empowering women. So I just want to say Scott Molesky over there, Facebook Live, thank you so much. Melikia, you can't hide. You are a coach. Talk about how important it is to talk to someone after you've suffered a grave loss.
Okay, here it goes, guys. So back in the day, I used to work as a behavioral health modification specialist. That meant working with 2-year-olds to 17-year-olds with a specialized unit of 9 to 12-year-olds. These babies, you talk about loss. When I heard Coco talk, when I heard Dr. Stacie talk, literally that's what was flooding to my mind, these babies. I love your heart, Coco. Oh, my God. Bless the position that you stand in and the understanding that you came to. It took me years to get to that. And Dr. Stacie, I love how you point out who God is, the love that God is, because I promise you, if you do not start from a square of love, you are heading in the wrong direction. So back to the children. A lot of these babies, so they weren't in the position where they were losing a parent to death, right? Some of these babies were in the position of being given up. that means that they would straight up abandon and they would not see these humans that brought them to this earth again. And that in itself is a loss. And you guys have already laid out the stages of loss. Y'all, there is nothing like Dr. Stacie said, when her friend who came and sat with her and just held her. There is nothing like holding a child who is experiencing that degree of loss. And it does not go away. It does take a village to raise a child. It takes that same village to sustain the adult. It's something like literally my heart is just, I'm so moved. It has me a bit emotional, right? You guys, there is no shame in sitting with someone and laying out your heart and letting it be exactly what it is. There is no shame in that. When people come to me, it's usually at the point where they are considering suicide. A lot of ideations, and I'll tell you guys a quick story. I had someone come to me who literally had someone they loved die in their arms, and it was suicide, right? That person wanted to leave the earth too, but they had a little fight in them. And y'all, sometimes that's all it takes. It's just a little fight. Those kids, to draw it together, they had a little fight in them. That one client had just a little fight in them. And if you put that little fight in them, the same fight that Dr. Stacie has, the same fight that Coco has, the same fight that AJ has even right now, and you put an X next to it, you multiply it by God, multiply it by that faith that you have in God, you're going to be all right. Y'all, I work with this person. It was about 3 months, and I do mean like an intensive laboring of love and redirecting the mind. We literally had to grab a hold of this one gift, and I'll share that with you guys right now. That inner loop in your mind, you're having a conversation constantly, whether you know it or not, right? And when it comes to grief, a lot of the times it's kicking you in the head. You know, it's kicking you in the heart. It's beating you down. You have your memories kind of vulture circling you, reminding you of what you lost. But when you do this one thing, grab a hold of that thought. And I tell you, sometimes you might look crazy. Who absolutely cares? Use your fingers. Grab that thought. Hold it. Pull it out of your mind. Hold it in front of you. Have a good look at it and understand it for what it is. Feel it. Experience it. Throw some love on it. And then rewrite that bad boy. Reintroduce it to your mind and your thought process. Let it run around that circle and infect everything around it and bring you some peace. Bring you some positivity. Bring you some whatever you wrote it out to be. And prayerfully using scripture when you're rewriting that thought, that is just like a little quick cheat code that everybody listening can use. You have that power to rewrite your narrative, to rewrite what you're thinking, what you're accepting, what you're experiencing. You are creating. How or why? Because God made you that creator. He made you a world. He framed you. That's what God did for us. Like, we are not left without tools. We're not left without help. We're not left without one another. There's billions of us on the planet. Get with that person who's going to love you. Get with that person that you vibrate with. Deal with your mess. And there's nothing wrong with it. My heart also goes out to JoJo's mom. It's not easy. You know, I've had some of my my patients, I had some suicides after they left the hospital. And it's devastating. Like, there is no why. But again, back to what Coco has shared, had a conversation. This couple, they had lost a baby. And what the woman, the counselor shared with him was this, exactly what she shared. Everybody comes, right? They made their agreements before they got here. They stay here for the time that they're due here. They dutifully take care of whatever it is they need to take care of, and then they take their exit. And it's us that's left fighting them for their exit, fighting to make them stay, fighting to keep their whatever close to us because it's us being selfishly wanted. But when we come to that same place, like Coco shared, let them people go. Let them go in peace. Let them go in peace. Bless it. And I love how she said that it was our ancestors. So that, I never made the connection in that, and I received that. So I'm very grateful just to be a part of this conversation. I'm very grateful for the people in my life and the folks that I get to help and the folks that help me, because I had some awesome counselors. I believe in counseling. Trust me, whether it's traditional or non-traditional, there is nothing like that hand over to where you want to be, pulling you forward, pulling you along, helping you get to where you need to be. Ain't no shame in it. I do it again in a heartbeat if I need to. So I don't want to jack your whole conversation egg, but that's what I had to say. Back to you, love.
You're definitely not jacking the conversation. Excellent conversation. Everybody's opinion and thoughts and words are important in this conversation, and I appreciate you, love. Um, very, very special words. And Coco, I want to direct this towards you. Please excuse my telephone. Um, what do you say to a mother who feels guilty, like it's their fault or they weren't enough? Like, walk us through maybe some healthy steps that people can do.
Yes, that was a beautiful, beautiful question. Thank you, Adrian. So I did blame myself, and I had people question whether or not it was me. It was horrific. The idea that it was my fault. And my coach said to me, I actually have a coach that I work with in Washington. I'm in Toronto, Canada. And I drove to Washington to see my coach in person. I was like, I need you to take me somewhere in America where I can eat some real fried chicken and have a real conversation about what's really hurting me, okay? He took me to the best fried chicken place on the planet. It was great. I had to go shopping in there too. It was awesome. Anyway, and I said to him, was it my fault? Can you tell me? It's tears streaming down my face. Was it my fault? And I don't want to get into the story of why I thought that, but something simple like if I had called 911 10 minutes earlier and they would have got there before his heart stopped, for example, right? And he said to me, well, did you feel, okay, this is kind of raw. He was a little rough, but he asked me an important question. So let's just take a deep breath in and take a deep breath out and have a woosah before I go into it. And he said, did you want to kill your son? I said, no. What you mean? He said, was your intent to go there and kill him that day? I said, no. What you talking about? And he said, so do you love your son? I said, yes. He said, so how could it be your fault if you didn't go there with intention? And I said, but I didn't do this, I didn't do that, I didn't do this. And he said, who told you you were supposed to? What if you were supposed to just be there? Right? Maybe, I said, well, you know, what about his sisters weren't there? Maybe they weren't supposed to be there. Maybe he didn't want his father to be there. But you were supposed to be there. And he said to me, are you God? And I said, well, no, I'm not. And he said, so do you get to determine when life comes and when it transitions? And he kept asking me these questions. I'm like, why did I come to Washington, D.C. to eat this chicken with you? I don't need to have these conversations with you. Right? So I had to learn how to let go of my need to control. Let go of my need to, because I started to learn, like, who am I on the earth then? Because I thought I was supposed to keep my kids alive. That's my job. When you get out the hospital, as soon as you find out you're pregnant, you're supposed to keep this baby, this little alien inside your belly. And then when it comes out, you're supposed to make sure that it can, you feed it and you become obsessed with it forever. Right? But what if the world, our society has put this unrealistic expectation on mothers? Because they say a mother is not supposed to bury their child. Mothers bury their children every single day. How dare we say what's not true and then mourn about that lie? That lie, he said to me, if it's your fault, can you take that to the bank? Can you cash that check? Will it bounce? Will it hold up in court? That was a lie that it was my fault because my character would not allow me to do that. And if I was the person who went out and killed my child, I probably would have been outside my mind, and it wouldn't have been my character, and I would have had some mental health challenges because people in their right minds do not do that. and their character still stands. So my character still stands, and my character is not God. And I don't have control over this thing. What I do have is the capacity to love, the capacity to forgive, the capacity to be present, the capacity to honor my child, the capacity to live. He said, then I started to really tap into, well, what is life on earth, and what are we doing here, and what is energy, and all of those. I started really asking myself deep questions, because this grief was deep. And I did all this in the lap of luxury. I asked all those hard questions while I was out with my girlfriends at the Ritz, tears streaming down my face, drinking wine. Because I knew I needed to comfort my body and comfort my nervous system and spoil myself rotten as I mourned the most beautiful person on the planet who blessed me. Then I became not just a mother, but a conduit for this spirit who had another life to live, who blessed my womb with their presence and allowed me to raise them and love them for however long they were here, and then to release them onto this new adventure so I can be free to still live for however long I have left, blessing them, missing them, loving them, continuing their legacy, my grandma's legacy, my grandsons, my grandson and my granddaughter, helping them. I needed to be alive for them. Why am I still here? If it's not my time, then I'm going to be here well. The last thing I'll say is this. I looked in the mirror one morning. It was about 3 months after he passed, and my face had changed. I looked and I saw grief on my face. I saw my depression and my desperation. I saw suicide on my face. And I was like, oh no, I'm too cute for this. Nah, girl, I still need to get a date. I ain't going out like this. Oh no, it's too many beautiful brothers in the planet that I need to meet and get a ring on. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want my sons. I heard my son's voice say, Mom, I didn't die to destroy. I didn't transition to destroy you. It was my time, and it's not yours yet. It's not yours yet, but it was my time. And so, I was chosen to be the mother of a spiritual being who was only supposed to be here for 26 years. Some women are chosen to be mothers of children who are only supposed to be here for 26 seconds or 26 weeks or 26 months. And that's a blessing. And I miss him, but I still get to love him. All is not lost. Not my fault, because I'm not God.
Come on, sis. You're just blessing people with wisdom. And God said that my people shall perish for lack of wisdom. I love you for that. And you're listening to a WNBA State of Mind. I got my girls on here, Coco, Dr. Stacie, and Melikia on here, my clubhouse buddies. I want to say thank you to everybody who's out there listening, blessing the show. You hit upon the head. We talked about it the other day, Coco. I'm going to let Dr. Stacie elaborate on it a little bit. But I'm going to come back to you because we had a good conversation about this. It's the how. The how that just beats us up or beats you up or beats you up or beats him up or her up, and all of the people that are involved that have lost somebody. You know, my auntie, I had to identify her. I had to find her, saw her down there on the floor. The first thing I did was lay down and prayed over her as she would have done for me. And for as cautious as the police officer, no, don't touch it. Excuse me, this is my auntie. I don't care about no pandemic right now. This is about helping her cross over. I didn't care about nothing else. But the how and the feeling guilty about how I was there all of the time. How come right now I wasn't? I didn't go over there on Friday when it was in my head to go over there on Friday. Why didn't I go when I was right there in the area? Well, I'll see you tomorrow. It's all good. That kind of stuff. That just, how do you get past the how? Dr. Stacie.
That's a great question, and I just want to thank Melikia and Coco. I mean, this is such a rich conversation, and I really pray that those who are tuned in are being blessed by it, because you said something, Coco, before I get into answering the question. I miss him, but I still get to love him. That's a mouthful right there. I miss him, but I still get to love him, and I think that's part of getting through what happens in our mind and all the ways that we go over and over again leading up to that day, to that moment. Could this have happened? Could that have happened? Maybe if I did this, maybe if I did that. And just what you said, Coco, that your coach was very brilliant in sharing. You're not God. So you're not in control of who arrives on this planet and who leaves this planet. So there's no way you could know. And I think that's the first thing that we just have to release, is that there is no way. You don't have the capacity to know when someone is leaving or transitioning. But what you do have the capacity to do is to celebrate the love. That's what you have capacity to do. And that's what's going to heal little by little by little, that you can get past reliving it over and over and over again. And that's why I offer as a way forward something tangible that you can honor the living spirit of who they are. So it might not be a platform or writing a book or starting a conference. There were some of the things that I did. It might be just a practice that you institute. Maybe it's something that you go, if you love water like I love water, maybe it's a trip to the beach that you just have a moment where you can be and feel the presence of who they are. If there was something that the two of you did together that was unique to your relationship, keeping that ritual alive. It's a way to work through getting one set of thoughts out of your mind so that another set of thoughts can usher in. Because whatever you focus on expands. So if you continue to focus on the what ifs, if you continue to focus on a guilt trip, if you continue to focus on the challenge, that's what's going to expand. But if you start focusing more on being grateful for everything about that individual that you loved. Wow. He had such a wonderful smile. Oh my goodness, she was so thoughtful. Oh wow, my cousin did the craziest things that would just make us laugh. Wow, I remember that story of being on the bench, holding down the bench and not drinking all the water. Right there, you never know what's going to come up for somebody. But if you focus more on the joyous memories, the qualities of the person that you admired so much, what you shared, maybe some of the secrets that they literally took to the grave, right? That the two of you did that nobody on the planet would ever know about. Those are some of the tactical things that can help you as you put one foot in front of the other. It's not going to be easy. And just say, it's not going to be easy, but I'm up for it because I'm still here. I'm stronger than what I know. I can do hard. I come from a long line of ancestors who've done hard. So I can do hard. And I can get through this because it's not my strength. It's the strength that I'm drawing on from God above for those who have that faith. And if you don't, finding and discovering what that is for you helps you to focus more on the living than what you can't control in the transitioning. I hope somebody gets that, because we can't control the transitions of our loved ones, but we can control the living that we do. And the memories and holding on to celebrating and coming up with a ritual. One of my girlfriends, she just lost a very close cousin to breast cancer. But they took one last trip together for her to tap her toe into the beach. So that's something that she's going to continue on as her moment with her spirit, that when she goes in the beach, they have the memories and the laughter from the last time they were able to have that experience together. And that becomes sort of therapeutic for her in the process of dealing with grief. Grief is a process, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. They're just options that we can share that will give you a better outcome than an outcome of depression, oppression, thoughts of suicide, or anything else that can drag you down into a pit that is very hard to come out of. But if you can just be open to a process that is different than that, then you can get to the point where you can have discussion, just like our sister Coco is having discussion, about celebrating the blessing of being able to carry such an incredible life, and that you still get to love him even though you miss him. That is a powerful and a tactical way to move forward. So I hope that as you listen to the conversation and as we extend our love to JoJo's mom and anybody else who has dealt with grief, because I don't think you can get out of 2020 to 2021 without being directly or indirectly affected with grief and the levels of trauma that we're seeing, whether it be life that is taken from COVID or racial injustice and unrest, right? So we just have to learn how to manage the best way we can with alternative thoughts in our minds. This mind, this space, this gray matter, remember, what you focus on expands. So if you allow certain things to take root and to get comfortable in your mind, it will grow and grow and grow. So be selective in what you allow to stay and what things you pluck out, so that you can live a life that is worth the life of your loved one with what you do and how you treasure their memory. I pray that blesses you.
Oh, girl, it does. Every single word out of your mouth, it blesses me and all of the people that are listening to it live and all of the people that are going to listen to it later on. Such a blessing to have all you guys on the show. And once again, you're listening to a WNBA State of Mind Sunday brunch. I got my girls on here, Coco Veira, Dr. Stacie and Melikia hiding in the back as usual, but it's all good. Very powerful women that I have here on the showcase. And ladies, I want to give you the opportunity to give people the chance to know where they can follow you, on Insta, on Twitter, on Facebook, on, anything you got. You got an up and coming book. You have something where you are on Clubhouse. We'll start with you, Melikia.
Okay, my love. I am a firm believer in having someone be social on social media. So yes, I do respond. Hit me up in my Instagram, and I have a fun name on Instagram, you guys. It's Santa's Helper, SANTAZHELPR. There's a fun story behind it that I won't tell you here. Ask me later. On all of my medias, the rest of them, it's simply Melikia Courtney, and I do have an upcoming book called The Ladder, Escaping the Hells of Domestic Violence. It definitely shares the one point that I shared with you earlier about rewriting your narrative. That's so very important. And it also has step 2, letting it go, and I give practical ways to step out of loss, out of grief, out of disappointment, out of crisis. So Melikia.com, you can sign up for the book list, and I'll get that to you. Adrian, I beyond appreciate you allowing me in your space. I have been blessed by you, by Dr. Stacie, whose voice I just love to hear, and by Coco's strength. Y'all doing a thing over here. I appreciate it. I'm done speaking.
Yes, listen, even Santa's with a Z helper needs some help. I played basketball and we had a concept on defense which was help the helper. And so I've always been about that. I learned that concept when I was 17 years old at Old Dominion University. Dr. Stacie, please tell people where they can get in touch with you and what you have coming up on the blog.
Absolutely. And I too just want to echo what Melikia said. Just hearing your voice, sis, you have such a powerful presence. So whether it's behind the scenes or in front of the scenes, we can feel you and appreciate you. Coco, honey, we need to take this show on the road. I love your humor. I love your wisdom, child. I was over here like, I got to mute myself because I'm going to cut up. And Adrian, it is such a pleasure to have a new sister. And, that's one of the things when we're talking about being social, when we can use social media for good. Who knew a Clubhouse app would allow us an opportunity to make some organic and substantive connections with individuals of like mind. So I'm very appreciative that God would allow me the opportunity to meet such amazing people like all of you. So I can be found in multiple places. One of my kids say, "Ma, you're Googleicious," but I'm like, whatever that means. But you can connect with me at destinydesignersuniversity.com. I didn't tell you all, I am Jamaican, so I have a lot of jobs. I have a lot of verticals around. I stay busy, but destinydesignersuniversity.com, my social media handles are there. You can reach me. And you know what? You can connect with me there, but I want to give a gift. I want to give a gift to everyone who's here with WNBA Live. Like, this is an amazing show and platform that Adrian has put together, and you can get a free chapter, the first chapter of my book, if you go to the site and just click on actionbook.com. I just want you to have that chapter. Faith is an action word. That's the name of the chapter. And when we're talking about grief and going through what we're going through, let that be a blessing and just an insight to who I am, the training I do, the work I do. I have an upcoming conference, multiple programs and events. But today I showed up because the sister made a call. And she said, I need someone to help us get through a difficult time in our community. And that's how I live my life. Collaborative, achievement-driven relationships. So connect with me so we can work together, play together, because I don't do it if it's not fun. I like to have fun. And I thank God that he allows me to be who I am, and I don't have to change and be unapologetic about my faith, and I don't have to be a grumpy Christian in the corner somewhere telling everybody that they're, doomed for hell. No, that's not my role. My role is to disrupt the marketplace and let you know that God loves us. There are things he requires of us, but if we're a good steward of what he has, then everything is available to us. It's our birthright. And on this Resurrection Sunday, resurrect some of those things you've been laying down and holding on to. Now, let that stuff go. Resurrect a new thing. Be able to celebrate the lives of those who can't do it in the physical form. Let them see us. Let their spirit rejoice because we're living a life that God has called us to live, to be a blessing in the marketplace. That's my prayer. I can't wait to connect with you. I'm on Clubhouse, Lady in the Blue Dress, Dr. Stacie and C. Grant. And where you go, you'll find me. And Adrian, Coco, Melikia, we got to do this again. God bless you all, everyone that's tuning in on this Sunday. My prayer, and I pray and decree that as God moves through this conversation, it inspires a new thing in you. We don't want to put new wine in old wineskins. We want a new thing to spring forth so we can tell the good news of the gospel, be unapologetic about it, and let our light shine so that others can see God's work through us. God bless you, and thank you so much for having me.
Amen. So let it be written, so let it be sung, let it be done. All right, Coco, we're going to let you take it out of here. Tell the people how they can get in touch with you, any new adventures.
Yeah, so everything is Coco LaRain Veira. That's COCOLA RAIN VEIRA. But if you type in Coco LaRain, you'll find me on Instagram. My website is CocoLaRainVeira.com. You name it, that's what it is. So should be pretty easy to find. Definitely on Clubhouse. I got some beautiful passion projects that I'm working on. One is I have a podcast called Grieving with Grace, where I talk a bit more about the podcast is actually called Inspired by Coco, but I share my Grieving with Grace secrets on that podcast. So if you'd like to hear more about my journey, it's just about 5 or 6 episodes, I think, or 7 or so episodes that I talked a little bit about my trip to Washington, D.C. and how I found this peace of mind in the middle of the pain, right? I was grieving and mourning in beautiful places, and found that peace there. And, I also work with speakers, emerging and experienced speakers, on helping them to be revolutionary, to share the revolution that happened inside of them. And we need some revolutionary women right here on this platform, my goodness, that have just been speaking the words of wisdom. Y'all ladies, woo, can I say, it has been a pleasure to be in your company. I appreciate you so much. The book that I am writing is a labor of love. I've been writing it for 10 years now. It's almost done. It's called Hiding in Wallpaper Flowers. It's combating the side effects of abuse, trauma, and loss. And I know the reason why it's taken so long is because the word loss had to be there. So, we don't have to hide anymore. We can actually live and thrive by design and grow. You asked such an important question, Adrian, about the hows and the whys and the how comes and so on and so forth. And I just want to say thank you for giving us the chance to share our hearts about grief and to recognize that we have to
help each other.
We have to help each other. That's right. To just know the truth.
Yes.
Right? What is the truth? What truth do you believe? I'll say this last thing and then I'll go. I asked my son when I felt him in the hospital. I felt his arms around me, and I said, do you miss me? Where you're going? Where you are? Where I don't understand. Do you miss me? And he said, Mom, your spirit is eternal. You're here with me. You're having a human experience right now, and it's visceral, and it's important for you to have it. And so the fact that you are in so much pain is a demonstration of how much you loved me. The deeper the pain, the more meaningful the love. So for any mother, father, sister, granddaughter, niece, grandma out there, if you are in excruciating pain, especially the family of our dear JoJo, especially Mom, if you are in so much pain, know that it's because your love was legendary and great. And know that your loved ones are with you and wanting you to be at peace. So receive the peace. Not only can I love my son, even though I miss him, but I can also receive his love. I can still receive his love, knowing that he is at perfect peace. I would rather miss him than see him suffer one more day. I'm going to say that again. I would rather miss him than see him suffer with mental health, with asthma, with whatever it was that he was suffering. I'd rather, with the sufferings of this world, I would rather miss him than see him suffer one more day. I'll take that. I'll take that pain so he can be free.
Yes, Lord, have your way. And you're listening to a WNBA State of Mind. I'm going to brand that in your mind. I'm here with my girl Coco, Dr. Stacie Melikia. I want to say thank you so very much for listening to the show. Anybody who is out there and you're feeling gracious in your heart, I want you to get a pencil, or I want you to capture this in your mind. It is called IVE 222. That is Yvette's Cash App. IVE 222. Telling everybody that all week. Bless her Cash App. Doesn't matter how large or how small. You know, the expenses are grave, taken off of work, just a lot of things that you just don't expect, you know, and this was hard hit, hard felt, and I had to pay homage to Sir Jose Burgos. Jose, my JoJo, I had to. This grieving process is tough. We're all going through it. And not just because of depression, mental health. It's real. If you have issues, if you have problems, call somebody. Call a hotline. Go sit in church. Anything other than taking yourself out of here. But if it is your time, then my arms are too short to box with God, and so are yours. And so, ladies, once again, I want to say thank you very much. We're going to end the show. We're going to end it beautifully. And, you know, we everybody is muted, so we're going to unmute your mics.
Okay.
And on the count of three, we're going to say what we say. 1, 2, 3. So let it be written.
So let it be done.
Let it be done.
Let it be done.
I appreciate you, ladies. And for everybody that's out there, Sunday Brunch, WNBA State of Mind, you can download it on your podcast on most listening platforms. Anchor FM, I appreciate your support. It does cost. Also, it's on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, which is the new one, working on Pandora at this moment. So, ladies, I appreciate you, and I'm sure that I'll see you on tomorrow. Demi Sosa to all my people. Stay up. We love you, JoJo. Peace.